Thanks for joining us for this look at some of the best stories from KPBS News this week. I'm Maya Travolsi. Coming up, an update on a KPBS investigation into overdraft fees. We'll have details on a new state law that will reduce the amounts that credit unions can charge. Uniting athletes of all abilities, see how schools in Poway are teaching important lessons in teamwork and inclusion. And helping seniors prevent injuries. Falls are a bigger threat as we age. A special class is offering tips on how to minimize the risk. This week started with Veterans Day. Local commemorations included a special event at the San Diego LGBT Center. KPBS Military and Veterans Affairs reporter Andrew Dyer tells us about their Wall of Honor.
Oh, say can you see?
The San Diego Gay Men's and San Diego Women's Choruses deliver a stirring Star-Spangled Banner. At the LGBT Center in Hillcrest, 7 San Diego veterans are being added to the Wall of Honor, which recognizes the contributions of LGBTQ veterans in the community.
I thought it was a little strange at first because I really didn't think I really did anything to deserve it. So I am quite honored.
Welcome to the Wall of Honor.
Robert Granite was drafted into the Army Reserves in 1969.
I went through a BA, 2 master's degrees, a PhD, hoping to keep out from going to Vietnam. Still got drafted.
Although Granite tried to avoid the draft, he still ended up choosing to serve.
It was either that or check off that little square that I was a homosexual. And in those days, if you were going into business, one did not do that. I mean, I would not have a career.
Granite is one of 7 veterans being added to the center's Wall of Honor. Each year, more are added by a committee. Most served at a time when being gay in the military could mean jail. Serving in such a discriminatory environment was a challenge. Pele Crone says she was up for it. When she joined the Army in 1978, she was one of the first women in an integrated platoon at boot camp. And she refused to stay in the closet.
I'm just me, and I don't care who likes me or, even if it means prison, even if it means my life, I'm not backing down from that. I'm not ashamed of who I am, and I just refuse to be quiet about it.
Crone says she was lucky her commanding officer supported her, and her sexuality isn't what pushed her out of the Army 2 years later.
Being gay and being out wasn't the issue. It was more just being a woman. I would have been a lifer. I would have retired. But because of all the harassment, and it was really horrific.
We spoke to several LGBTQ veterans, and it's not unusual to hear of people serving just one tour, if even that. For decades, LGBTQ people were barred from military service. Don't Ask, Don't Tell took effect in 1994 and allowed them to serve, but only by staying closeted. In 2011, the ban was finally lifted. Randy Hedgecock is a Marine veteran who says joining the service was one of the best days of her life. But after a year and a half, she was discharged due to what the Marines said was sexual perversion. Speaking from the lectern, she says recognition by the center restores honor, dignity, and respect to LGBTQ service members, which otherwise might be forgotten.
We found it necessary to hide ourselves. Leave no man behind. We were not only left behind, we were tossed out. Our service was not valued equal to any other military member. Left at the hands of those who hated us, it would all have been erased.
Crone says inclusion in the Wall of Honor is vindication after what she endured in uniform, battling discrimination and sexual harassment.
A lot of people tried to shame me and have tried to shame me throughout by telling me to shut my mouth, you're causing trouble, just let it be, just ignore it. So that's what the acknowledgement for me is about, is like, wow, I finally get recognized instead of being shamed, for it.
Hedgecock had her discharge upgraded last year. In September, the Pentagon proactively upgraded discharges for veterans forced out under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. But service members discharged prior to 1994 must individually request such upgrades. Those discharge statuses are the subject of a federal lawsuit now working its way through the courts. Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
A new police chief in Oceanside is hoping to bring stability to the position after the department saw several changes in recent years. KPBS North County reporter Alexander Nguyen was there for a ceremonial swearing in.
Through enthusiastic applause, with his family and mother standing next to him, Chief Torino Vadovinos made history as Oceanside's first Latino police chief in the city's 136-year history. In a city where nearly 40% of the residents identify as Latino, that means a lot.
It is an awesome, awesome feeling.
Mayor Esther Sanchez says for the first time, the top 3 spots in the city's government are held by Latinos: mayor, city manager, and now police chief.
It's just amazing that Oceanside has gotten this far to be able to honor and reflect the diversity of our community here in Oceanside.
Vadovinos was born in Mexico and immigrated to Oceanside when he was a few months old. Having grown up in poverty,
we lived in a shack. My brothers and I slept on the floor with cockroaches and rodents crawling on us.
He understands how momentous this occasion was.
I understand the significance of it, and I take that seriously. I feel like I'm a representation of the Hispanic community as they are a representation of me.
His sister, Maria Salinas, says that's just who her brother is. He's always been sociable and involved.
The community can relate. He can relate to the community. They can feel more comfortable speaking with him in their language, which would be Spanish if they're comfortable with that.
Vadovinos joined the Oceanside Police Department in 2003, rising through the ranks, becoming a captain and then assistant chief last year. Vadovinos is the city's 3rd police chief in 4 years. He says he wants to bring some stability back to the department.
I want to win the hearts and the minds of our community, and we're going to do that by meeting our expectations.
He has 3 goals for the department: to be known as a hard-working department, to treat people with respect, whether they're victims or suspects, and to be positively impactful.
When we engage people, we're either arresting them or we're responding to a crime that just occurred. But within those moments, there are opportunities for us to be positively impactful and really impact somebody's life positively. And that's the goal of our department.
Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
A recent KPBS investigation revealed how a local credit union charged young Marines millions of dollars in overdraft fees and relied on the penalties as a key source of revenue. KPBS's Scott Rod reports state lawmakers took notice and passed a new law to protect credit union customers.
Credit unions chartered in California collected more than $250 million in overdraft fees last year. Now, state lawmakers are putting up guardrails. Starting in January, California-based credit unions must notify customers every time they receive an overdraft fee. In 2026, those fees will be limited to $14 or less. Many credit unions currently charge upwards of $25. Susan Weinstock is CEO of the Consumer Federation of America. She says these protections are essential.
Overdraft hits consumers so hard, and particularly the same people over and over again have this problem with overdraft.
The fees can leave customers hundreds of dollars in the hole.
Too often, overdraft fees push consumers out of the banking system. We want people to stay in the banking system. We know ultimately that's better for financial empowerment and financial inclusion.
Bill 1075 by Senator Bradford and others naturally into credit unions.
The state legislature referenced KPBS's reporting when deliberating the new law. One KPBS investigation found Oceanside-based Front Wave Credit Union enrolls Marine recruits during boot camp and reaps millions in overdraft fees every year. Front Wave says its overdraft program is a benefit to its members who run out of money at the end of the month. Members of Congress launched an investigation into Front Wave following KPBS's reporting and urged the credit union to change its fee policies. Scott Rod, KPBS News.
Sign up for our newsletters to get a list of our most popular stories. Here are some from this week. A report suggests bigger vehicles and slow construction timelines led to San Diego's Vision Zero failure. In pursuit of family-sized apartments, San Diego considers single-stair reform. And Escondido will charge property owners for long, vacant commercial buildings. And we're going to have that story a little bit later. A theme park might not be the first place that comes to mind for teaching children, but this week, SeaWorld became a giant classroom for STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. KPBS reporter John Carroll says students spent the day learning and having some fun.
Amidst the whales, the penguins, and all the rides, there was something more at SeaWorld today for about 1,000 students, first grade through 12th, from around the county and as far away as LA.
We're going to be using the weight of the dolphin and the velocity in which they're swimming, so how fast they're swimming.
For just the second time, SeaWorld hosted a STEM Day. Students were offered discount tickets and lots of learning about things like shark's teeth, how they can tell how big a shark is, or was, from those teeth, how much pressure they bring to bear when chomping down on some unlucky prey.
I knew the rest of the club, like the rest of the students and my friends, would all be really excited to learn more about STEM-related stuff here.
Sophia Dickman and her friend Jory Northup are both 8th graders at High Tech Middle Mesa. When we caught up with them, they'd just visited the shark learning station, but they said they really liked what they saw and felt at another station, the stop where they learned about the importance of blubber.
Because I know it is probably really cold in those waters, and like how they've done it and how to they've developed to protect their skin and like stay warm.
I am the manager of the Education and Conservation Department here at SeaWorld San Diego.
Mike Dunn has been at this for a while, 35 years at SeaWorld. STEM Day is his idea.
There's science behind everything, and that is one thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is that as you walk around SeaWorld, we have science surrounding you the entire visit.
There's an old school flavor behind STEM Day. All the students are given age-appropriate paper booklets and pencils to, gasp, actually write down what they've learned. So we've seen the shark mouth, we've seen the blubber, we've seen the penguins, but roller coasters? Oh yes, there's science behind them too, of course, and the kids learn about it.
We have some really fun rides where kids are able to ride Emperor or ride Arctic Rescue, learn about centrifugal forces, distance equals rate times time, velocity, things of that nature.
Dunn says he loves nothing more than to spark an interest in STEM among these young people. That was a foregone conclusion for Jory Northup.
And I want to be a zookeeper when I grow up, so definitely like life goals.
Making learning fun, a goal of teachers throughout history, one that's probably a bit easier to realize when the classroom is a theme park. John Carroll, KPBS News.
Sports bring people together, and in Poway, they're also breaking barriers. KPBS health reporter Heidi DeMarco shows us how students are learning from each other on and off of the field.
You guys pick a team, pick a team. Jaden! We're practicing for a big game that's going to come up on the first day of November. And I'm pretty sure that it's going to be the best, and I am really excited for it.
Haley Granger is a 10th grader at Del Norte High School. She's one of the many students participating in a new unified physical education class.
When I first got here, it was like a little bit rough for me.
Granger says she was struggling to make new friends after moving to San Diego from Canada.
To be honest, these classes, they're really the best. I got to meet new people here, and they seem to really like me very much.
It's called the Unified Champion Schools program. It was designed by Special Olympics Southern California. Lynn Allen directs their special programs.
So our Special Olympics Unified Champion Schools program is our program that we're doing in all of the schools to promote acceptance, inclusion. It's where we have our athletes with intellectual disabilities or their students, and they're partnered with their peers without intellectual disabilities.
94% of participating schools report a reduction in bullying, teasing, and use of offensive language.
There's a stigma, people don't know how to interact with athletes with autism or, with Down syndrome, and they're kind of just sitting there by themselves.
Studies show children with disabilities are nearly 5 times less likely to participate in physical activity compared to children without disabilities.
And there's always that curiosity factor too, so I think this kind of breaks down those barriers in those students without disabilities. See that they can do everything that the typical students can do.
1, 2, 3. Unify!
Ashley Sparks is a senior. She says the class has changed her perspective.
I think it definitely has given me a lot more awareness of there's just so many different people, and there's different ways you can accommodate to certain students, and I think it's been really great to work with them and just get to know everyone's personalities.
The disabilities vary. Some students have AIDS, to help them physically or with processing, but all students are encouraged to support each other on the field. Coach Susan Milanovic says more schools should consider the program.
I've taught adaptive PE before, but this is completely different, and it's also the both sets of kids, the kids with disabilities and the kids without, they have grown so much just even in this first 8 weeks.
The program started with Poway and Del Norte high schools. The district recently committed to implementing the program across all grade levels, starting with high schools. Program leaders say this approach will build a culture of inclusion from the start.
Defense, Hawks! Defense! Let's go!
At their first official soccer game, students from Del Norte and Poway high schools have their moment in the spotlight. Complete with fans, cheerleaders, and plenty of school spirit.
And that's kind of my go-to, is to make them feel like the other kids do when they go to an away game or they host a game here. They deserve to feel that exact same way as our football team or our volleyball team.
For these students, the real win isn't on the scoreboard. It's in the friendships, acceptance, and inclusion they built together today.
Come on, Claire Bear, you gotta run. I believe in you. And I had it in me, but hey, here I am. Thanks to all the teachers and the classmates that do for me, I'm kind of very grateful. I'm glad to call these people my friends.
Heidi DeMarco, KPBS News.
Falls are the leading cause of injury among older adults. San Diego County data show 1 in 4 adults over 65 experiences a fall each year. They are a major reason for nursing home admissions. But a local nonprofit is teaching seniors how to fall safely, or not at all. And once again, here's Heidi DeMarco.
Usually what happens, you get a hard clunk and then the head flies back, right? To avoid that, as you're falling back, you want to drop your bottom low, tuck and roll, and hold your head in.
For older adults, the fear of falling goes beyond the immediate pain of a stumble. It's about the potential for serious injury, long recovery, and sometimes the loss of independence. At the Challenge Center's Agility class, seniors are learning how to fall safely. Jamie Casey is a physical therapist and fall prevention specialist. She leads the 5-week class.
This class is what we call total fall management. So it's not simply fall prevention, which is a big part of the class and very important part of the class, but we also teach seniors how to get up from the floor because there is a real fear for a lot of people of having a fall and not being able to get up again. And we also teach techniques for how to fall safely to avoid a serious injury should a fall occur.
Centers for Disease Control and Prevention data show more than 38,000 seniors died from falls in 2021, and nearly 3 million ended up in the emergency room for fall-related injuries. Kate Tom has a history of falls.
My most recent fall was in August on the 19th. I tripped over an antique shoe shine kit that I had next to my bed, and I fell forward and then passed out. So it took about 2 months to completely heal. I was completely bruised from my face all the way down on my arm and into my neck.
Tom is 74 and lives alone. She says this last fall sent her to the emergency room. It crushed her confidence.
I don't get out as much as I used to, simply because I just don't want to put myself in a position where I can injure myself.
Okay, when you feel ready, go ahead, drop and tuck.
Tom says the class is a lifeline. She's learning how to fall in ways that lessen the impact and protects vulnerable areas. These are crucial skills for older adults whose bones may be more fragile. Casey says the classes also address the emotional toll of falling.
They are developing a real serious fear of falling and then end up isolating, staying at home, not going out with friends. And unfortunately what happens is the less you do, the more physical decline you actually experience.
Research shows that once a senior falls, their chances of falling again doubles. UC San Diego Health geriatrician Ian Neal explains how aging can diminish our sense of balance.
we start to lose something called proprioception, the position sense in our feet. And that can affect our balance. It reduces somewhat our sense of where our feet are in reality. And so that can make it that we become off balance a little bit more easily.
Even everyday factors like footwear choice can increase fall risk.
Really thick, foamy shoes, they're good for helping kind of keep our feet comfortable, but at the same time, it also reduces our sensation of kind of where our feet are in space.
Medications can also play a role.
If we are on certain blood pressure medications, certain psychiatric medications, those are associated with higher fall risk. If we are on sleep medications, those linger in our body the next day, and so that can make us a little bit more fatigued, a little bit more off as we're walking.
In a recent class, the group is working on strengthening their balance, improving their agility, and learning techniques to roll safely in the event of a fall. Tom says the class has been a vital step in regaining her confidence.
I just hope to maintain my balance, not fall anymore, but have the knowledge that if I do, I know what to do, and I can help myself and not depend on somebody else to come and help me.
Tom says she's also learning from others in the class.
So I might not have thought to do something one way and see somebody else do it a different way and try that and make sure that it works for me. And I made wonderful friends there. They're so nice.
Low, drop your bottom, tuck and roll. Remember your chin, 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 chin. Hey, beautiful. You got it.
Heidi DeMarco, KPBS News.
Starting next year, property owners of abandoned commercial buildings in Escondido must pay an annual hefty fee. KPBS North County reporter Alexander Nguyen says it's an attempt to curb the city's growing number of vacant storefronts.
Up and down Grand Avenue in downtown Escondido, in between vibrant shops, cafes, and restaurants, are these eyesores. Where shop used to be, now sit empty storefronts with broken glass and homeless encampments.
You know, some of these owners just really don't seem to care about their property at all.
Rising rents, operating costs, and a lack of incentives for owners to find new tenants are leaving more of these empty storefronts than the city would like. Greer Bohan owns Ginger Road Wellness and Spa and has been in this location for 10 years. She's also seen some storefronts sitting empty just as long.
We need a vibrant downtown here in Escondido for our own businesses and for our community. And just having places empty for no reason is not conducive to business at all.
The city began working on an ordinance to charge a fee for abandoned buildings 2 years ago when it noticed an uptick in business closures, especially on Grand Avenue. As you can see, this closed storefront is dirty, unkept, and you can see how empty it is inside. And it's right next to a neighborhood cafe. The city council passed the ordinance last month. The city will charge a fee of nearly $4,500 a year for abandoned commercial buildings. According to city staff, Escondido is the first city in the county to charge such a fee.
I am all for it, 100%.
Escondido Mayor Dane White says this is part of the city's plan to revitalize the area.
We have a lot of the larger properties that have been vacant, some for decades. And what happens is some of these people are out of town. They really don't have any interest in making Escondido better, making our downtown better.
Come the new year, owners of abandoned buildings will need to display their contact information on the property. They will also need to describe how they would secure the property from break-ins and any future plans for the building. They must also update the city on any changes to those plans. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
This next story is also in Escondido, where a change in management might be coming to the city's Arts Center. KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne tells us why.
The California Center for the Arts has been a North County hub for culture, art, performances, and community.
This was a house that Escondido built. It was very specifically minded for community-centered events, community-centered celebrations, you name it.
Jesse Gonzalez is the Community Advancement Manager with the center.
It's a 1,500-seat European-style concert hall, a smaller theater of 400 seats where we get to see a whole slew of different performances take place in.
The California Center for the Arts Foundation has managed their programming for the last 30 years. But that tenure could come to an end. The city of Escondido is looking for a new manager for the center as it tries to close an $11 million budget gap. They started the search after a review found the center was running at a loss a few years ago. Gonzalez says COVID had a lot to do with that.
Part of our mission statement was bringing people together, and if you can't bring people together for a substantial amount of time, the mission not necessarily tends to creep, but it's harder to get into those communities or build bridges into those communities if that's just something that you hadn't been able to do.
The city pays the foundation $600,000 a year to run the center, and they plan to undergo the application process to continue its work.
We're doing a lot of really great work here, and I feel like we're just getting started. So it'd be a shame, really, ultimately, at the end of the day, that this institution or these buildings would belong or go to someone else, because we've been doing such a great job.
And the foundation laid the question on the community by hosting a town hall for feedback. Community members filled the concert hall Tuesday evening to ask questions, provide feedback, and learn more about the work of the foundation.
Really, we need to fill these buildings. Empty buildings do us no good. The goal is to keep them filled, keep them activated, and that really will bring a whole new sense of belonging and create that third space we all desire.
There have been interested applicants to run the Center for the Arts, and a decision will be made by the City Council next year. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
The arts play a big role in our mission here at KPBS, and one way to keep track of everything is the KPBS Arts Calendar. It's curated by KPBS Arts reporter and podcast host Julia Dixon Evans. Go to kpbs.org/arts and you can submit details for future events, and you can sign up for our weekly arts newsletter. And to keep track of everything we're doing here at KPBS, you can follow us on YouTube. Subscribe and get notified when new content is posted. It's also where we live stream KPBS Evening Edition weeknights at 5. We hope that you enjoyed this look at KPBS News this week. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Thanks for joining us.